Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another beauty related video. Today I am giving the final update for the Beauty Bank makeup rehab, whatever we ended up calling it. We never really settled on a thing, but this is the update for that low buy, watchful buy. I don't know, it was a mixture of things. We're gonna cover the total amounts that I spent on makeup in 2024 and just talk about how this project or this focus helped or hindered me, and why I think it's good or why I think it's bad, and going forward what the plan is. If you like numbers, if you want to know how much I spent on makeup and what I spent the most on, well then let's jump into it. So the way I had this set up was where I was tracking every quarter what I was spending on. I was writing down everything I was buying, the cost of it all, and then I was also doing points. So I wasn't putting a limit on the actual cost for the year. I just was tracking that to see what I was spending on and how much I was spending on. But the points is what I was tracking for this, because I wanted to be intentional about how much I was bringing in and make sure I was using up products and not just bringing them in and just collecting products. So with that, I started the year. with 24 points. That meant that I could purchase 24 products, and then I earned points based on what I used up or if I hit pan. So I'm just going to very quickly give you a little bit of a rundown, and then we'll see what happened in the last quarter. So in January we had a no spend month, which I completed, so I did not lose any points there, but I did earn 8 points because I had 8 empties in January, bringing my total points to 32. Then in February I started with my 32 points. I bought 7 points worth, bringing my new total to 25, but then I had some empties that brought me back to 30. So then in March, starting with 30 points, I made enough purchases to take away another 8 points, bring me down to 22. And that month I only had 2 empties, so I only gained back 2 more points, bringing me to 24 points. In April, I started with 24 points, but it was a no spend month, which meant that I was not going to be buying any makeup, any beauty products, and I completed that. So I went into that month with the 24 points and then got to add even more points because I had empties. I added 3 more points, bringing it to 27. Then we jump into May with 27 points, and I used up 5 of those points, bringing us to 22. And then I had some empties again, and those were 4 empties, and that brought us to 26. So already I was doing really good. And I was staying pretty consistent because I was focusing on making sure I was hitting those empties. Because in previous years, I really hadn't been focusing on that. So I really wasn't using up stuff I owned. I was just buying new stuff. So far, this looks like it's been good. So jumping into June, we had 26 points. I bought enough to take away 7. I see a consistent number here, bringing us down to 19, which is pretty low. Then I used 3 more products that month, bringing us back up to 22, which is still lower than our starting. Jumping into July with those 22 points, I only used 3 that month, and then I also gained 2.5 points back, bringing the grand total at July to 21.5. So going into August with 21.5, and I ended up using 13 points. That's a lot of points, guys, all in one month, bringing the total points to 8.5. Ooh, that got low, especially just for August. But in August, I also used up 3 more items. as well as hit pan in my first ever thing, which was my Too Faced I Will Always Love You blush. So I earned enough points to bring in another 3.5 to bring the new points to 12. Starting September with 12, I used up 5 points, and that brought us down to 7. And then I used up some empties, and I hit some more pans, bringing the new total at the end of September to 11 points. Meaning as I jumped into October, I had 11 points. In October, I used another 8. 8 must be my magic number, bringing the total points down to 3. And that's where I stopped tracking, because around this time is when life just got really crazy and I wasn't tracking. I know that I had a couple empties in October, November, December. I do not know when they were specifically, but I do believe it was just a total of 3 more empties. So I'm just going to put them all right here in October, bringing the new points to 6. And then November hit, and November hit hard. In November, starting with those 6 points, I used 11 points, which means I went into the negatives and we have no more empties to count. And then in December, I bought 2 more things, bringing in another 2 points. So we ended the year a little bit in the negatives. So it didn't quite go as well as I had planned, and it really was going so well until the last quarter. That last quarter, I kind of lost focus on using things up. I lost focus on tracking things, and you can see without a focus here, I really kind of just went off the deep end a little bit, okay? So I didn't win my points. I did not end with any positive points. I ended with negative points, which is not what I was going for, which tells me through this habit tracking, which is basically what it was, tracking the points and seeing what I'm spending on and what I'm using, is that if I am actively paying attention and actively tracking things, I'm using things up. I'm focusing on things, I'm prioritizing them and making good progress that I want to go in. But once I stop focusing on that, and once I stop paying attention to those numbers and paying attention to what I'm doing, that's when things become dangerous for me. So going into the finances part of it. So like I said at the beginning, I did not put a number on what I wanted to spend, but I wanted to kind of see how much I was spending on and where the money was going. So let's just go back through each of the months real quickly. In January, like I said, we had no spend, so a lovely 0. In February, I spent $74.72. Not terrible. In March, though, we jumped quite high. We went to $208.99, which a lot of creators on here, that's a really nice low number. But being that I'm a creator who does not make any money, that's a high number on makeup, okay? So I was making sure to be intentional about what I was buying. That is one thing I was very good at sticking through all this year. Back to April, we had another 0 a month. And then in May, I had a bunch of points. So what would have normally been $261.65 ended up costing only $114.66 because I had saved up a whole bunch of points. Then in June, we're at $100.22. I like the $100 range. I feel not guilt. I don't feel any guilt on the $100 range. Once we get into that $200 range, that's where I feel guilty. Then July, we had a really low month at only $37.31. And looking at what was bought, I bought 3 things. That's it. I bought replacement sponges, so that was a necessity. I bought a mascara, which was the only mascara I bought this year, somehow. And then I bought a Shea Sugar, the Tree Hut Peach Sorbet one. So that wasn't even really makeup. So I'm proud of that month. But don't worry, I made up for it in August. In August, I spent $219.23. That was for 13 items. So I'm actually kind of proud of that. That finished up our third quarter. That is what you guys know so far for the year and spending. So in the last quarter, I did track everything I purchased. October was my birthday month. October, I spent less than I thought I was going to, but still a little higher. In October, I spent $222.24. That included a purchase from Perfusion. It included a purchase from Rem and an advent calendar purchase and just a couple little random things. The advent calendar purchase was $95. That was the NYX Home Alone advent calendar, which I did do a video on. If you would like to see that, I will have it linked above, below, somewhere. Maybe it'll be at the end of the video. It'll be somewhere. And if I forget, it's on my channel and I would love for you to go check that out. Then jumping into November. November was not much better because that is when all the Black Friday sales happened. And I spent $204.33. I saved quite a lot of money buying it then, but I still spent that amount of money. The amount that I saved, I believe was, let's see, did I write it down? I'm going to say it was probably about $100, maybe a little bit more. So I think that was really good purchases, but also like really, it was a lot. It was a lot, especially coming off of the high cost of October. Then jumping into December, I went low again and only spent $58.89. So, drum roll please. My totals. In the fourth quarter alone, I spent $485.46. There were a lot of palettes bought in this fourth quarter, and that is why it was so high. So let's look at the total spending for all of 2024, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. On one hand, I feel like this is really, really high because I don't make any money from this yet. But on the other hand, I feel like I was very intentional with the majority of the stuff I brought in, and I feel like I was using products I also needed, and some of this was replacing those things because I was using them so well and really liked them. And I did buy a couple things that I wanted, but I justified buying them so that I could show you guys. So it was a little bit of business expense, right? Right. Am I just justifying this? Probably. Am I scared to tell you? Yes. Am I also getting distracted by my puppy who's just rearranging herself on her bed, making the weirdest sounds? Yes. Okay, so without further ado, for all of 2024, I spent on beauty products a total of $1,331.66. I really need to make a little bit of money because my stomach just drops at this number, if I'm being completely honest. And I think that's why it's such a good idea, even if you don't have a channel, to track what you are buying, especially stuff that you have a love for. So like if you're a crafter, if you're a reader, if you're a makeup lover and you're buying these things, keeping track of what you're actually spending is a very good idea, because when we don't, it's very easy to just be like, oh, I didn't spend that much. And then the end of the year, you're like, where did all my money go? Well, $1,331.66 of it went to makeup. Okay, so that means my quarterly average was $332.92, which when it's broken down like that, I don't mind. But when it's the full number, I'm like, ugh. But quarterly, I'm good for, especially when you break it down even further to the monthly average of $110.97. It doesn't look as bad. My lowest month was July, outside of the no spending months, and that was $37.31. My highest month was October at $222.24. So I really, the individual month average and the quarterly average, personally, for my love of makeup, for the fact that I am trying to have a business here, and the type of stuff that I spent the money on being just naturally more expensive, I don't mind it. But when I look at the full total, I mind it. I do. And this is not, before I continue and I tell you where I spent it all, this is not a judgment. If you have the funds and you want to spend them on makeup, that is your choice and that is your decision. I do think that everybody, whether you are a creator or not, whatever hobby, because let's be honest, for the most part, makeup is a hobby. There are some who do this because for other reasons, but like hobby-ish things or things that aren't necessary to live on. Whatever you're spending your money on is your choice. And if you have the funds and you feel comfortable spending them on that, then do that. Personally, I want to just be mindful, not only because I'm not bringing in money of how much I'm spending, but I also want to be mindful of how much actual stuff I'm bringing in because I don't want to be wasteful. And that, for me, is where I really don't like it. So if I'm spending all this money, but I'm using every cent of it, I feel like it's justified. But if I throw away part of this, that's not justified in my opinion for myself. Okay, but to continue, where do you think I spent all that money? I kind of just went through and decided I'm going to write down the like the 8 most common things that I thought I would have been spending on and see where it landed. Where did my money go? So shockingly, I only bought 1 bronzer. I only bought 1 highlighter. And this is the even more shocking part. I only bought 1 mascara. Like, I'm like looking through my stuff and I'm like, no, that can't be right. I have so many mascaras. How is that right? And I went back through all of my other things. I'm like, what the heck? So unless I'm really missing something, I only bought 1 mascara, which is really good. Okay, then I bought, and this one actually shocked me. I thought this was going to be higher for blush. I was thinking that I probably bought, or I expected to buy, around 10. And I only bought 5 blushes, which is phenomenal. And that total that I spent on those blushes was only $90. Only $90. That's pretty impressive. That's not what I thought that was going to be. Next, I also bought, and this one shocked me, 5 foundations. I hate foundation. Like, I seriously hate foundation. I am actually not even wearing foundation today. I am wearing blush. I am wearing bronzer. I am not wearing foundation. And I bought 5 of them for a total of $138.28. I don't know why I did that. I mean, I do, but I also don't. Does that make sense? Next, I bought, you're not ready for this, 6 setting sprays. Why do I need 6 setting sprays? To be fair, 2 of those were like free with products or like I bought with points. So one was a free with product purchase and I could have picked other things, but I picked that one. So that's why I counted it. And then the other one was under points. But I brought in 6 new setting sprays to my collection this year, bringing that to $69.98. I forgot to look at how many setting sprays I went through this year. I think I went through 2. So if that's the case, maybe 3. So I might have 2 years worth of setting spray now, which means I shouldn't need to bring any setting spray in for the next 2 years. Will I though? Probably. Okay, the second to highest thing that I brought in, can you guess it? You probably can. It's lip products, and I put those all in one category. So if it was a chapstick, if it was a lip liner, if it was a lip gloss, a lipstick, you get the point. I put it all in this, and guys, I am impressed by this. And before I tell you what it was, I will tell you right now that I did not include any of the ones I got from that advent calendar, which was the Home Alone advent calendar, because I couldn't really just like figure out how much each of them were worth because of the way I paid for them. I also gave some of those to giveaways, so I don't have exact numbers on that. So I did not include any lip products that came in from that one advent calendar, which was, I think, I want to say like 6 or 7, which is a lot, but yeah. So not counting that, I brought in probably my lowest number ever. It was 8. Only 8 total lip products, and that included at least one chapstick. That total was $106.26, because those little things, you just grab them. They're a little bit less expensive normally and you forget about them, but still, I only bought 8. In previous years, there's no way I would have only bought 8. So I'm impressed by that. Okay, can you guess what the number one thing I spent on this year was? If you said eyeshadow, you have been around here, you have been watching me, or you're just like, well, that's the only thing that's left that's, you know, common for people to buy a lot of. So eyeshadow palettes is the number one thing I spent on. And guys, this is where the majority of my money went. I spent $560.05 on eyeshadow palettes. Majority of those were Nomad Cosmetics. But I'm impressed by the amount of palettes I brought in. That $560 brought in 20 palettes. I brought in 20 palettes to my collection. I have a problem, and I'm going to tell you right now, the eyeshadow problem is not what I'm going to fix. I have no desire to fix that problem. So don't even start with me. But I'm glad that I saw where I spent the money, because if I had not tracked this, I would have said that yes, eyeshadows was my top and then lips was my second. But I would have never guessed that foundation was so high, and I would have said that I bought a bunch of blush and a bunch of mascara, and yeah, when really I didn't. So that was a very interesting look at my whole year of spending, and I really personally liked it. I hope that you guys also like seeing this kind of content. I know a lot of you are just really, for lack of a better word, nosy and want to know what people are spending, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, to be completely honest, because I do it too. We can be nosy a little bit, as long as we're not like judging in harmful ways, okay? Like, there's a little bit of judgment in my own head about what I did. It's okay, it happens. Okay, so my final thoughts of this project, or whatever this was, it was very enlightening. It was very good to see how, when I was paying attention, I was staying on track, and then the second that I stopped paying attention, I was more or less mindlessly buying. And I think that going into 2025, that is something I want to be aware of. So will I be doing this or a version of this in 2025? And the simple answer is, I don't know. I have a lot of things that I already know are coming up for me and my family this year. And I need to limit what my full commitments are, as far as like little things like tracking here and tracking there and doing all those behind the scenes things like crazy. So with that, I might track personally so that I can at the end of the year share it, or maybe quarterly share like what I'm spending, but I'm not going to be tracking points wise. I will still continue to hold on to my empties as much as I can and show those to you. So I'll kind of be showing all of that to you in empties, and just kind of every quarter, hopefully sharing with you what I bought or how much I bought. But I don't think I'm going to do it in this type of structure where I need to really track every little thing right now. Maybe I do want to do this again, but I do think it'll have to be in 2026, because I don't think I will do a good job with it in 2025. It's just something that would very easily be forgotten about or a big stress in my life. So I do, however, suggest, if you are somebody who is spending a lot on makeup, spending a lot on any of your non-necessities, I do think making it kind of a game-ish like this is very helpful, and something that I think you could have a lot of fun with. You don't even have to put this publicly. You can make this a thing between you and you. You can involve your best friend. You can involve your spouse. You can involve your children. Children are stupidly good at keeping you on track of things, especially if it doesn't involve them. Like my son being like, why are you buying another lip product? You have 50 at home. Yeah. So if you want to track something, figure it out. Make it a little game for yourself. You can even leave comments on my videos talking about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how it's going. Let me know. I would love to stay caught up in your lives like that. I hope you ultimately enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful to you and maybe filled your little bit of need to be a little bit nosy. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here for it. Well, if you want to continue being a little bit nosy and you want to continue seeing me use my makeup and see what I am buying and see what I'm enjoying and what I am not enjoying, then I hope you'll hit that subscribe button. I hope you'll hit that like button. And thank you so much for being here. Feel free to say hi to me in the comments. And thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I am rambling now, so I'm just gonna say goodbye.